Okay, May 26, 2012, we are going to have a Memorial Day Thanksgiving feast. We are going to do a turducken on the green egg. This is my first time doing it. We're going to cook it at about 225 for 9 hours. And some tools of the trade. Obviously, I just mentioned the big green egg. The first step in the process of any good smoke is a nice, clean, thoroughly cleaned egg. Some other tools of the trade are going to be some lump charcoal. I've been having really good luck with the barbecues galore. Last year I did a pork butt, and I bought some of the big green eggs, spent $30 for it, and got very small pieces. So I've stayed with the barbecues galore, and I've had good luck. Some other tools of the trade in my shed. But anyway, the next step here is, as you can see, I have a garbage bag out here. I am going to dump out the lump charcoal and start stacking inside the grill, the large ones first, and then put some medium bricks, and then on the very top the smaller ones, and that's to help maintain a nice steady fire over the course of the smoke without having any problems. So I will be back in a second. Alright, so as you can see, I've dumped the lump charcoal out onto this garbage bag, and now I'm going to start picking the largest pieces first and putting them down in the bottom of the fire crate. And as I said, I'm going to stack the grill or stack the lump charcoal so that the largest pieces are first, and then work my way up with medium and then smaller pieces. Okay, so there's the first layer. Those are the largest pieces that I'm putting in, and now I'm going to go for another row of some medium-sized pieces. Okay, well the lump charcoal part of this is over. As you can see, I filled it up to the fire ring. That is going to be plenty. I have done 19-hour pork butt smokes with the same amount, and we're only looking for about 9 hours at 225 here. You might notice I have the spider ring in there. It's also a great device. I kind of leave it in for every smoke. But anyway, that's the charcoal side of it. Again, this idea I pulled from the web, as everything else I'm going to tell you is all information I pulled from the internet, from different sources. That's why I'm building this movie, just to help other newbies feel comfortable with these cooking adventures. Anyway, next step is going to be getting the fire started and setting up the stoker for 225 and getting things rolling. So here's what's left of my charcoal. Again, I think this is probably one of the best bags of barbecues galore lump charcoal I ever got. It had all the pieces exactly what I wanted to stack the lump. So we're in great shape to get things kicked off. Okay, lump charcoal is off the ground, back in the bag, as you can see. Not one drop lost. The garbage bag trick works really well. The method I'm using to start the charcoal today is just an electric starter. I go in between the little fire starters in this thing. This is the most convenient, so I go with it. What I do is I put it in, take the top off, open up the bottom, obviously, and I'll probably let that go for about 15 minutes or so, maybe even only 10. It usually works relatively quickly, and then I'll lift the top and get a good fire going, and then remove the electric starter. Okay, the next tools of the trade is the incredible Stoker by Rock's Barbecue. I'm going to use this to accomplish two things. One is to maintain a steady cooking temperature of 225 degrees, as well as know exactly the temperature of my meat. The plan here is to cook the turducken low and slow for about 9 hours to 155 degrees internal temperature, and at that point we'll remove it, let it sit on the counter for about an hour to reach 165, and then we'll cut her up. So part of the stoker, we're going to have, this is your meat thermometer. Take the meat temperature. This is the pit temperature, although I use it in the dome to manage my dome temperature. And then here you have a 5 CFM fan, which will be installed down here so that we can stoke the fire every time we need it. And then we have the Mrs. Daisy there. We'll use that to just let enough air through the top so that we can keep temperature within 1 degree, which I've done many times with no problem with this stoker. So as soon as we get the fire going, I'll be back. Okay, while we wait for the fire to get going, here is the guest of honor. This is a small turducken, should feed 15 to 20 people. Picked it up at Iowa Farms down in the Mission Gorge area of San Diego. It's about close to 16 inches in length. I'm going to probably just tie it up one more time lengthwise just to hold it in a little bit tighter. My egg is about 18 inches, and I want to make sure I have a full inch around the front and back so that I can get a good even cook. So that's what I'm going to take care of right now. Okay, let's check out that fire. It's probably been about 10 minutes since I got it started, and yeah, it's looking perfect, exactly what I thought I would see. So what I'm going to do now is pull out my fire starter. Sorry about that. And I am going to close the lid and let the convection start a good flame, and I'll start putting the stoker together in the meantime. Okay, so another tool I'm going to be using today is called the egg setter. That's so I can cook this turducken in indirect heat. So that gets placed in right on top of the fire ring. Next I'm going to lay down a drip tray to catch any droppings. Then lastly, my grill sit there right on top like that. And I haven't decided if I'm going to use my V-rack or not, or if I'm just going to place the turducken straight on this grill. You can also see that wire in front of you that goes up to my dome temp probe, which I just attached to my thermometer that I have sticking in the egg. The fan has also been installed, and next thing I'm going to do is start setting up the stoker with the parameters that I want to use, which, as I mentioned earlier, is going to be 225 degrees for my dome temperature, and I'm going to set the meat temperature at 155 degrees. I'll be right back. Okay, in true grilling fashion, I kind of changed gears here. I decided that I wanted to use the V-rack, so I changed things up a little bit. On the bottom, you'll see I have my spider with a 13-inch stone on it. On top of that, I put the drip tray. And then I have this assembly I got online that has a multi-level cooking surface, and I rigged it up so that I can put my V-rack right on top of it. I just thought it would be a good way for me at the end of the day to get my turducken out of the grill once it's cooked. So that's where we're at this point in time. Sorry for switching gears on you, but again, this is the first time I'm doing a turducken, and this just seemed like the right way to go. So right now the stoker's in full motion. We're probably, let's see, main temp control, if you can see that. No, you can't. Oh yeah, there we go. Scan. Alright, so my fire pit is about 152 because I shut things down a little bit while I was getting the new rig set up. 56, that's my outdoor temperature since I don't have it in the meat yet. Fire pit is just starting to come up. So let me get it going, let me shut the dome, get my temp up, and then we'll be ready to slap this baby on. See you in a bit. Okay, it's game time. I've got the turducken outside. My temperatures are starting to fall into range. Yeah, you can't really see. Yeah, it's about 240. It overshot a little bit, and that's normal. When I did my first cook, something like that would have freaked me out. But now I'm a little bit of a veteran, and things like that don't bother me too much. Once the turducken is in, the lid is closed, it'll set down a temperature, and as you can see, the daisy is on there right now, the daisy wheel, and I will probably, just tweak it there. All you need is just a little bit of room for air to escape as the fan feeds the fire, and that'll give you a temperature delta of about 0.5 degrees. It's amazing. This Stoker is just amazing. You can see this case I put it in is basically my waterproof case. Like I said, when you do Berkshire butts, you do them overnight. This protects it from the weather. I'm here in San Diego. It's very rare that I get weather that's bad, but just in case, you want to protect your investment. So give me a second. I'm going to slap that on the V-grill, V-grate, and I'll show you the final peak before we set it and forget it. Okay, there you have it, the final product. I have a turducken on a V-rack. I got my meat probe in center, probably the meatiest part, and got my fire probe up there. My drip tray's already coming into action. Let's set this guy and forget her. Actually, what's going to happen in about 2 hours, I'm going to lift the lid and wrap it in tin foil, help keep in some of the juices. So you'll see me in 2 hours. Okay, sorry about that last shot. Somehow my camera settings got messed up, so my apologies. Anyway, so here's a picture of the iPad. I'm running the Stoker application. You can see my temperature, 224.6. Meat temperature is about 70 degrees. It's about 9 o'clock, so the turducken's been in for about an hour and a half. We started at around 43 degrees. One thing I didn't mention is I did get up at 4:30 to pull that turducken out of the refrigerator to try and get it close to room temperature. So it was only out for about 3 hours. I think next time I'll go for about 5 to get a little bit closer to room temp. Anyway, you can graph this as well. It's a really cool application. I'm seeing some sun, it's just hurting us, but anyway, I'll just give you an idea of some of the other tools that you get with the Stoker. See you in about a half hour when I throw the foil on top of this guy. Okay, the turducken has been in for about an hour and a half. I'm sorry, about 2 hours. And instructions call for it to be wrapped in foil, or at least covered in foil. So let's take a quick peek. Oh yeah, she's looking very tasty. Actually, I don't think I guess I'll cover it based on what they're saying. I kind of wanted to get a nice little crust going on it. And you can hear the alarm going off right now because my temperature probably dropped below what I wanted it to be. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it with some foil, and I'll see you in another probably 6 hours. Okay, just a quick peek. I just covered the turducken with foil. We're going to close it, and like I said, should see in about 6 hours. Well, I promised you a funny story, and just to remind you that things are not always as they appear. Remember my V-rack setup? Well, when I went to tuck the foil under the bird, the V-rack slipped off of my setup, and the turducken basically rolled on its side, almost falling into the drip tray. So in full panic mode, I'm grabbing it as it's falling. Thankfully, it did not fall apart. Just lost a tiny bit of stuffing. I put it all back together, but by now the unit was open. The egg temperature rose from 225 to 265. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I closed the daisy, try to reduce the temperature. Well, I did a great job, but it took so long that the lump actually went out. What else can go wrong, right? Okay, so what do I do now? I said, let's start up the oven. I get the oven up to 225 degrees in the house. I transfer the turducken into the oven, and now I start to try to restart the egg. Easy, right? Well, as I try to restart the lump, I notice it taking, a long time. So I pull out the electric
starter and find out that it's shorted out. Oh my God, what do? I send my wife to Barbecues Galore for a new starter. Meanwhile, I see a few ambers still lit. I start nursing the fire back up. Meanwhile, the wife calls. Barbecues Galore doesn't have any starters, so I'm like, great. Thankfully, I get the lump going again. I get the egg back to 225. I transfer the turducken back into the egg. Finish the cook. The turducken was as moist as can be, cooked perfectly. The moral of the story is using the egg in a slow and low strategy, it's almost impossible to mess up these cooks. I shared this cooking adventure just so you know you're not the only one out there that has these funny situations occur, although not funny at the time. Well, fellow eggheads, I bid you farewell. Keep on grilling.